So how do you manage for ADT, right? All the stress that's induced by multiple things together. Well, there are two ways to look at this, right? The first thing is, what can you do to increase the capacity of your own brain so that you sort of don't give up very early? So can you care for your brain? Absolutely, you can care for your brain. So you can actually eat in a way that helps your brain. You can ensure that you get good rest, good sleep, drink lots of water, take breaks intermittently as you work, take social breaks so you recharge your brain, by hanging out with friends, have these social interactions in between. No, they're not a waste of time, they're good for you from a productivity point of view, So that's what you can do at a personal level. Now remember, I said ADT was induced by the environment, right? The way it's induced because of these things, the multiple demands on your own attention. So can we also manage the environment around us so that we don't get bombarded with multiple demands to our attention? Absolutely, we can. So being a little more disciplined about, not allowing emails to interrupt us when we work, switching off our phone when we work, making it known to friends and colleagues that we'll step in or they need to take an appointment before they knock, or whatever it is that works for you. So try and see that you don't keep having demands on your prefrontal cortex at the same time and multiple times. To me personally, one of the greatest learnings from looking at ADT, looking at this whole learning about the way the brain is organized, has been to try and see what I can do, especially when it comes to things like email and checking messages on the iPhone and stuff like that, on the BlackBerry. I used to do quite a bit of that, and something interesting happened. So earlier this year in May, I lost my iPhone. It was stolen when I was holidaying on a highway, and I had an option to get another one. My college would have actually paid for it. I wouldn't even have had to spend my own money. But I just decided to experiment for some time without that, because truly the actual reason was because my husband said a new version was going to come, and that if I could hold on to the next version came, I could get a better one. So I held on, and I had this really old dumb phone that we used to use 10 years ago. It was there in the house, and I used it as a replacement till I was waiting to buy the next version of the iPhone that would come out. And I experienced so much peace that I decided not to switch over, so I still have that old dumb phone, which is not a smartphone, and all it does is I can just take calls and make calls, and it doesn't even have a sophisticated text editor, which means I practically don't text at all, and you can forget about checking email on phone or doing anything else, or surfing. And it's led to so much peace of mind. It's just made my life so much easier that I've decided not to go back to a smartphone. And the funny thing is, 5 months after I did that, and I think looking at my experience, and probably influenced by other sources as well, my husband, who had a smartphone, and his phone was not stolen, but he just put it away and got himself a dumb phone, which all it does is, again, receive calls, and you can make calls. And by no means am I suggesting that we all need to run away from technology, but all I'm suggesting is we need to find our own comfort zone, and maybe we won't always be with dumb phones. Maybe we'll see the benefits of having a smartphone, and that's going to overshadow at some point the costs that we associate with the smartphone, and we might just land up going back to smartphones. But the point I'm trying to make is, let's experiment and find ways, because all of us are, the current environment that we find ourselves in, we are bombarded by demands for attention. And they may not be demands for work, they might be demands for attention, right? It might be a joke that you receive, it might be a nice thing, and these are not, so the point to be noted here is, these are not bad things, or they're not things that need, they're not work demands necessarily, they're just demands for attention. One of it could be your child coming and telling you something nice, recounting a very happy incident from work, from his school. But if you're working and you're doing something else and your child comes, you need to listen to your child. That's a demand for your attention. So that's a demand on your prefrontal cortex. So it is all these demands, and they could be good things, they could be bad things, but when a lot of them come together, the prefrontal cortex gives up and we get into the panic response and therefore the stress, right? So it is about managing, finding ways to manage our environment. And I'm definitely not advocating running away from relationships or running away from conversations or running away from technology, but just appreciating and understanding that, hey, nature's wired me up like this, and this is what happens, so therefore let me use this knowledge about how my own brain functions and my own self-knowledge about what is my individual capacity of handling how many things in parallel, and let me try and not get into this trap again and again. I still will get into it, but when I get into it, let me also recognize to come out and then manage things better once I come out. So that is how we can look at managing ADT.